your higher order benefits don't have to be experience. It could be speed to market. How many small companies are here up against a big gorilla? Now, if Jack Welch were here, he would say be number 1 or number 2 in your market. But when I wanted to go 0 to good, it's like I'm a really small entrepreneur, and I'm here to tell you be number 1 or number 2 for revenue growth rate in your industry. And one of those companies is Aruba Networks, and they're up against a big gorilla. And the way you do that isn't innovation, it's the speed of innovation. And there's a management technique around that. So Dominic, share your secrets.
So Aruba Networks was created 6.5 years ago, and our mission was to look at enterprises, medium-sized enterprises like yourself, to all the way large enterprises as large banks, government organizations, distributor organizations, that their users must be getting more and more mobile. However, the corporate data has to be secure. So secure mobile access for branch, for home users, as well as corporations. So with that mission, we went out to build the most secure wireless access network for voice and data. We start shipping our products about 5 years ago. The first year revenue was $1 million. At this moment, we have shipped roughly $500 million of equipment to companies such as Microsoft, SAP, American Express, the U.S. Air Forces, or the U.S. Air Force bases, and so on. So we only have 2 competitors. On the one hand is Cisco, and the other hand is Motorola.
Small.
And small guys. And we're very proud that as of 3 quarters ago, we have exceeded Motorola to be number 2 position now. So at least by Jack's criteria, we're okay. So when you ask ourselves, so what do you even think of having a chance to compete against such companies? And typically for high-tech startup, there are 2 factors. People say focus and speed. Focus is easy because Cisco is 200 times bigger, but they also have 100 lines of business. We wake up in the morning, go to bed at night, think about one thing. So in real sense, they only are several times bigger. Speed is the tricky one. Right? When you are a startup mode in the first 2 years, you obviously are much faster than the incumbent. Right? But when you get to, I would say, $50 to $70 million a year, something's changed. I'm sure that you heard about the very famous saying in the high-tech industry that God could have created heaven and earth in 7 days because he or she did not have an install base. So for us, when you get to about 7,500 million a year, and right now we have about 5,000 installed customers, and they are big guys that I mentioned, big corporations, that when you go speedy, there are consequences. You know, I'm sure that there are situations where you are late for a meeting, you're trying to call the people that you're late, and you speed up, and just at the time that you finish hanging up, you notice that you missed the exit, and the next exit is 10 miles away, right? And then you have to go to a U-turn and so on. So a lot of the time, when you go from that $50, $100 million a year to beyond, you have to change the definition of speed. And the key word here is thoughtful speed. You cannot just go fast. You have to go fast without screwing up your pass. And that is the trick.
And what's the analogy with racing cars you were using once? There's brute force and thoughtful speed about positioning yourself for the corner. When we were talking once, you were saying when you're a small company, it's all about brute force speed.
Yes.
Get through your first 2 or 3 iterations of your product.
Yes.
Even in a down market, it's all about speed. And when you're in a racing track, sometimes you have to go slow to go fast.
Exactly. So how do you go slow to go fast? We have a methodology. So if you look into the methodology change, I find out that there's really one key insight. Is as a manager of a company going through this stage, there are 2 assets that you really, as a CEO, that you manage. Now, after you recruited the good people and you have the good idea, you really have time, means resources, and capital, right? In a good market time, capital is easy, and time is your limiting factor. There's only 7 days a week. And in downtimes like this, time is kind of a little bit, things are slowing down, but then capital is very valuable. So whatever it is in our company and the companies I used to be CEO before, we have a method, a kind of a parable. We look at time and capital like a jar. You have a fixed jar, and then you have problems of all sorts. And we classify problems into boulders, rocks, and pebbles. Right? And in terms of the sizes, in the startup mode, you don't care, just you first in, first out, because time is of any sense. But when you get to $100 million and you want to scale to $1 billion, you really want to be preciously guarding your two jars. And the way to maximize your capacity of your company is to make sure you put all the boulders in the jar first, and then you put your rocks, and then you fill the cracks with pebbles. Because if you just keep in the first mode of operation, you'll find in an awkward position that your resources completed, some of the big strategic initiatives didn't get done because you're tied down, right? And if you come to my staff meeting, you'll be finding everybody's talking about the boulder, the rocks, and the pebbles. And we have every quarterly offsite, we look at the key boulders. And the objective is to remove some boulders to get it to the rock stage so we can add more boulder. And my rule of thumb is a company of our size, between $100 million to $1 billion, you cannot handle 4 boulders. So I have a limit of 4 boulders. And as I remove one boulder, I put, I escalate another boulder in. And so that is really one method that we use. I'll give you an example, very brief example. As we were going through this big growth the last year, our ERP system was falling apart. We're shifting to a direct selling to a distribution-oriented system, and the supply chain, it is just very messy. But times is good, so we just keep shipping. So about a year ago, we decided that we have to move to a big scale ERP system to scale for our vision of the billion-dollar company. So, cut a long story short, we choose SAP. A quarter ago, when all things is ready, we're about to get going. I had cold feet because I know that my headcount is tight, my capital and UpEx is tight, and my belief in the high-tech company is this: really, priority should be put on to people who design the product and people who sell and service the customer, right? And everything else is an overhead. And at a given point in time, I know I'm tight on my design engineers' headcount. I'm tight on my sales and support engineers' headcount. And I have to come up with headcounts in IT and sync the quarterly license fee to do this. I delay it for 90 days. We look at it, but the thoughtful speed part took over. And basically we say, fundamentally, do we believe that we will grow up to be that great company, that billion-dollar company that we are? Either we believe it or we don't. If we believe it, this is the best time for us to scale because time is actually a little slower. We will know that we will have a couple quarters of transition time. This is the best time to transition. So I take a deep breath, suck it in, and
conquer that boulder.
Yes.